The password changed.
Who changed it?
I'll apologize. He said, Cindy told me she changed it. I'm like, can somebody tell me?
Oh, okay.
That's fine, but, okay.
It's unlocked. I unlocked it. Okay. Want to go with that one? Oh, there we go.
Anyone want to make a motion to come back in, out of executive session?
I'll make them, sorry, yeah.
I make the motion?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We're back in public session. Anyone who's viewing at home, there were some technical difficulties. The only thing happened at the meeting so far was called to order. The Sunshine Law announcement was made, roll call was done, the flag salute, and there was a motion made and accepted to go into executive session for the discussion of affordable housing and legal advice from our attorney regarding affordable housing. And we just had a motion to come out of executive session, and we're back in public. So, with that, I am looking for someone to make a motion to authorize the mayor to sign the affordable housing agreement with Ingerman for the Dumont Road site. Anyone want to make that motion?
I make that motion.
Second.
Okay, anybody have questions, comments on it, discussion?
No.
Roll call. Yes.
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 Okay. Now I'm looking for a motion to authorize the mayor to sign the affordable housing agreement for the Furman site with Petrucci.
I'll make that motion.
Anyone want a second?
I'll second it.
Any questions, comments, discussion? Roll call? Yes.
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 So we're going to put this on the site, so you'll be able to see it. Look for paragraph 4.6 for your reverter clause. Okay?
Okay, we're going to budgets. Who wants to go first? Rich, you're going to pretty much have to stay, so does Joe want to go first so he can leave, or you don't care? Do you have any reason you have to get out of here? Where is Joe? Joe! Oh, here he comes. Okay. You're going to be first up, because that way you can get out of here if you...
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we're going to do DPW first, Joe?
Yes, please do that.
Okay.
John has to leave by 3 o'clock.
No, I did not. So,
I just wanted him to come tonight to give like the overall of
Okay.
where we're
Want
at.
to start with that?
you want to do that? Let's do that first.
Yeah.
Sorry, Joe.
We good?
Yep, go ahead.
You're giving us the state of the budget address? Is that?
Okay, so Kathleen handed out this recap of the budget for you. The first page is the summary, second page is the revenue, and then after that are all your expenses. We put both the proposed budget and what actually took place in 2018 on there, so that you can see line by line. As it stands right now with this budget, you are looking at a 2.8 cent increase over the prior year. What that means for your average local taxpayer whose house is assessed at approximately $272,000 is an increase of $77 for the year, or $6.38 for the month. We used a little less in fund balance this year because I'd have to throw the computer on and I'll get you the whole numbers, but you were down a little bit in surplus from last year, so we wound up using a little bit less of fund balance to fund your budget this year. There was a reserve to pay debt service that you had last year. We thought it might be a one-time expense or a one-time revenue. You did receive a little bit of money back from your van sale this year, so we had a little bit. We had about half of that. And you are paying down aggressively your bond anticipation notes that are out there. You know, when we talked last year, we discussed that we were looking to keep funding the bond anticipation notes at the schedule that we had prepared for you. And in order to do that, you may see an increase this year because you didn't fully have the full increase to cover all of it last year. All right, so this year it might have to go up another penny, and a penny is one of the reasons why your budget's going up this year, because you're addressing more of that debt.
And that was already in that 2.8 cents that you said?
2.8 cents, correct.
And the 1.8, I hate to say it this way, because people think you're complicated, that's stuff that we really don't have control over, insurance costs, things like that, or?
Yes, there are,
Salary increases?
well, salary increases you have control over.
Yeah, we do.
Maybe
Right.
not contractual issues. But yes, you're going up approximately $65,000 just in like PERS, FICA, and pension alone.
Okay.
Yeah, and the tax point is 59,800.
Yeah.
So in order to raise or reduce, you have to cut or increase by 59,000. Right there's one tax point.
It's always happy news for me, John.
Well, you know, there is good news in the fact that you are not waiting around for debt to come due before you address it. You're addressing it as you go. Like that, because with the bond anticipation notes that you have, you could let them go out 3 years and not address any principal. But you're being aggressive and you're saying, we're not going to wait for those 3 years, we're going to do it. And that's exactly what you're doing. We like to see that, because if it was 3 years from the day that you issued them, then we'd be looking at a huge increase all in 1 year, because you have to come up with this money on top of all the interest that you paid out, because you haven't touched any of the principal either. So, you know, cap-wise, you're under both caps. We've had cap problems in the past where we've had to come in and say, all right, you got to cut to get below cap. You came in under cap. You know, your budget's not wildly going crazy, but it's the revenue portion that that needs to catch up to fund where you've been. I'm anticipating that your surplus is going to go up next year, just based on how you ended the year in 2018. We can see some trends that look like they're going to benefit in your favor. I'm not going to bore you with the accounting, but I can see your surplus going up, and then maybe next year you can bring a little bit more in, and we can talk about where we're at that point. I wouldn't stretch the surplus because I'm stretching the revenues. And when you stretch both of them, that's when you see your surplus go down. So either stretch one and pull back on the other. That works to your benefit in years to come. Never look at just this year. We always look out at next year as well, at least. But you have a good budget. You're like I said, you're under both caps and you're good to go. It's just a matter of, you know, the rate, if you're comfortable with the rate. And again, if you want to cut a point off of that, you'd have to cut 59, almost $60,000 out of the budget.
And I kept everything flat from last year's budget, with the exception of the statutory expenses. When I had met with Bob and Brad, we talked about there would be an increase in fire hydrant fees that we needed to look at, and possibly some computer work that maybe needs to be looked at, but that's all I'm aware of at the moment.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for John, or?
Did you guys talk about last Thursday the road projects? Mike and Ellie?
Not in any
Pretty
detail.
briefly mentioned it, but nothing in connection.
Still at rate 250?
Well, yeah, I knew, and Joe and I actually briefly, but if I recall last year, we had earmarked that for pace setters, to try to add to the other half of the roads that we're going to do, right?
We don't think that's going to cover that either.
No, not even close. It's like $2.5 million, I believe, is what Mike's initial thought was on it.
So do we think any paving work will be done this year, or was it too soon to be building out?
On our end,
Mm-hmm.
wow, I mean, I don't anticipate these guys being finished, Joe, until June or July, maybe. Maybe. Yeah, so it'd be a real challenge to be addressing pace setters this year.
And we have that grant for Washington Street, so would that be put off as well?
Right. With that being said, if anything was to be accomplished, I would see that one being done, but
Yeah, last year there was $250,000 budgeted for the road improvements, of which, and I don't know if there's any encumbrances against it, 1,900 was spent. So one of the reasons why I think you're gonna recover surplus is because that $248,000 is sitting out there that'll lapse into your surplus at the end of this year. But if you're gonna do a project and you need matching funds for it, is that the situation?
Yeah, the Washington Street's not gonna cover, the grant's not gonna cover, I'm assuming, lights and hearing fees and everything.
We may have to cancel part of that or all of it to get you the money now so you can do the project. So you have options. is what I'm getting at.
Okay. Anything else?
Thanks, John.
Thanks, Tom.
Stick around if you have questions on the budget.
Well, let's start with Joe, and then we can see where we're headed.
All right, the first sheet we got there is the DPW operating expenses and stuff, and first category is for 2019, and I showed 2018's what we've spent, what I could calculate close to in the areas that I spent it in. Really, the bottom line in the increase in the DPW budget is I'd like to do a drain job up on Rickline Hill Road. Need some storm drains, some fixtures, and some new pipe across the road. We've got a flooding issue there, standing water issue on the one side where there isn't any, try to get it transverse across under the road instead of across the road. And in winter time with the standing water, we get an ice condition. Also, $33,000 to do some paving up into the Heights area with the DPWs, like we did with the Thomas Stewart Park path using Pelhat paving machine. So that their cost would be more or less the asphalt and the renting the milling machine or the outfit to come out and just do our key cuts to blend in the roadways. We had a big hit, or I had a big hit in some maintenance expenses and stuff last year with keeping some of the older equipment on the road and usable and stuff. But that was with a lot of the outside vendor expenses. Right now, wintertime wise, if we don't use all of or much more rock salt, I'll be way under my 1,200 ton usage of that. I should have enough to get the next winter started at the end of the year if we only have a couple more storms. But ice storms, we're using double the rock salt. We had less storms, but I'm about 700 tons used already this year because of using that much more salt for the ice and stuff.
Joe, so the asphalt repair up in the Heights, you're basically doing an overlay and only,
Yes, I got three streets earmarked for some overlay. Warren Street from Prospect out to North Main Street. Holsizer Avenue is between the blocks of Beacon and Palmer Street, and Prospect Street from the intersection there of Beacon Street down to the bridge that goes over Merrill Creek. Altogether, that figures out to be about 615 ton. Right now, I don't know what I went on the higher side for the cost per ton of the asphalt. It's usually about 51 to 53. I just averaged it at 55 in case of escalation on running oil, that's what they,
So it was
that's what we get the escalation on, because the oil goes up and down.
so you think the cost went up? So Joe, the rock salt, the cost went up, is that why the
No,
numbers
the
are?
cost went down on the rock salt. This year, 2019, we're at 51.71. Last year, we were at 54, 57 and change. I put 1,200 ton this year. I only had 1,000 ton estimated, and I used 1,100 ton last year. So that's why I bumped it up to 1,200 ton. Right now, I'm at 700 ton use right now, and we're winding it down with what I had in the past.
Is there a way we could match the dollar amount from last year? Like, could we go down to 53 on that?
We could.
We'll just put a question mark as
Take
to-
some of the tonnage down out of it. Like I said, it just, if all comes out and B, I need the rock salt, I need the rock salt. That's our...
Just, what I want to do is, as we're going through this, when we get to the final number,
Yes.
I want to just mark things that we might be able to save on,
Like I
so.
said, there could possibly be savings here. It all depends on Mother Nature on that one.
Yeah, I know, it's always rolling the dice when you do these things, but,
Outside vendor, as long as you got that truck, you're gonna assume you're gonna have another expense this year.
What's this?
The outside vendors at $10,200, that was for that truck.
Yeah, I
The
had
old truck,
another
right?
truck just come back from the hydraulic shop again, because I got a $1,700 bill over there for a hydraulic ram that started bursting oil all over the place.
That on the oldest truck we have? or-
That's a 2002 that had that one done. The 95 is the questionable one. I need, like I said, I got to take it easy with that. I try to limit last year it sat most of the summer. Oil pan, when spring or in the fall, noticed the oil pan was leaking. I just sat there, puddle on the floor. And then it didn't pass DOT inspection. Had to have it repaired. So.
Joe, is there, yeah, I don't see it here. Do you have oh, not here, you have a fleet, a listing on the equipment in here?
Yeah,
and
so the
Yeah, I see it, yeah.
last group of, in my package.
No, when we get to it, I just wanted to see
I
it,
got a
okay.
scheduled replacement of all the fleet, and also attached to it is nothing more than a rundown of the fleet, which is, it just gives you the equipment list with the year that it was purchased, and it gives the age.
this increase in the paving, that could come out of that unused paving that we said was in that account? Or it said that we didn't use a lot of it from last year.
Yeah, there was 250,000 that we had in there.
So there's an increase here, well, we have a 33,000, so,
I mean, we can cancel that as of December 31st of 18, and then reappropriate it out of fund, because it'll get canceled to fund balance, and then bring in more fund balance to balance the budget if you want to put dollars in there for more.
I mean, I don't want to play games with it, you know, I'm just looking to,
Yeah, whether you use it for now or pay setters, you know, it depends, because if we're even going to accomplish pay setter, especially since we're not going to be using the school taxes.
how much was there, how much was left?
250 minus that.
No, you want to
Oh.
open up that box? Let's see.
And-
School
and-
tax levy was roughly 11 million, so you still have about 2 million.
Oh, I wasn't asking about the deferred tax. No.
Yeah,
No, we got it at 250. What-
I was asking about, yeah,
You said you only used 1,900.
Yeah, there's 248.
248.
Because if we're going to try to, and again, I'm just using Mike's numbers, plus or minus here or there, he said it was going to cost about $2.5 million to do all the pay centers. You know, the 200,000 and change is, you know, obviously nowhere near it. So do we use that to repair other roads here and then end up bonding that whole project out?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a
probably
decision
the
that
only
we
way-
need
yeah.
to
It's the only
chat
way to do
about.
it, yeah.
Right.
That figure's doing the whole lane. We're only gonna be doing...
No, I thought Mike told me that was half a lane. And like I said, I'd like to be wrong. I'm hoping that's not the number, but boy, it's sticking out in my head that that's what he said.
All right, let's make a note of this. Maybe there's another, we can find the money for this, I don't know. If we can bond that project, and you're saying we have money from the asphalt that we didn't use, so that would go to this, I'm assuming. Okay. Let's make a note of that, we'll look into that.
But I do hear though, Joe, which I think we all know, that Mike said that there's a lot of that pay centers now that they are going to do curb to curb because of the condition of something that they've left it.
That and the truck traffic.
Exactly. So we are getting more curb to curb than was originally planned. So
Wait, but
maybe,
that's weird. So they cause damage, and we have to pay for the curb to curb?
no. Well, originally they were only going to do half the road, but they did so much damage
Right,
that, no, they're going to do
They're
it
gonna
now.
pay the curb.
They're now going to go curb to curb in areas.
Getting really for,
Yeah.
that they'll be doing.
So there's a little perk there, so, I mean, I don't imagine that's monster, but any little help's better than nothing.
all right, those are the only things I saw that. We might be able to save 9,000 on rock salt, and we might be able to find funding for the 33.
No, it's 34.
34, yeah, 33.8.
On the capital expenditures.
Sure.
For new backhoes, 109 or 110,000 bucks. That's what you've been asking for that for 3 or 4 years now, right?
Yes, that's a 1994, it's 25 years old, it's on the replacement schedule there. I made the replacement schedule in the year for the trucks and stuff. So just to remind you of what I've done for it. That cylinder head's been off of that machine already. The radiator's been replaced for the second time. Just this past fall, we had to replace the hydraulic drive shaft to the hydraulic pump and stuff. It's the salt and the time has really beat that up. And that 109 is through an NJPA co-op contract. That's there's a 47% discount on that. That machine is $189,000. Now I just listed or went to John Deere. There's 3 or 4 manufacturers that are in that there could be even a little bit cheaper. There was just a couple specialty attachments I asked for that because that will take on a different role than just the backhoe that we use just to load and dig with.
Okay.
Kathleen, what's the number that we have available to us for capital expenditures?
New capital?
Yes. I'm going to guess that's,
Well, fund balance, you have $77,000, and capital improvement fund, 67.
$130.
So the dump truck, you only replaces one of the big ones, right?
Yeah, well, that's what we got there now is a dump truck, but I'm looking at something on a new venture to do a little bit more on the greens recycling and stuff. The hook lift truck would be just a truck and chassis with almost like a roll container truck.
Mhm.
They make a chipper box for it. I can get just, instead of having a dump truck, I got 4 of them right now.
Mm-hmm.
3 would suffice, but different use. Put a V-box on it, it still spreads salt, put a plow hitch on it, still plow, wintertime. All the other times, we can use the chipper box to chip, maybe start a chipping program, a container, maybe to do the greens recycling, help a little bit bigger container, help with leaf collection, doing some of that other stuff, and also a flatbed, we can use it as another trailer, haul some equipment around, and stuff like that. And then there's variations of other boxes that you can do with that.
Okay. If it was just a dump truck, I was gonna ask you how many full-size, the big trucks do we really need, but you actually got 3, but this would be a multi-purpose.
This is a multi-purpose, like I said, I'm looking, I know there's a lot, there's starting to be more and more demands I'm getting calls for, and the other one, I know we do the Christmas tree drop-off. One was maybe look into doing a pickup instead. Go around, leave them out the curb, and we'll do that for like 2 weeks, and that would help.
Can we get recycling money to pay for it?
Well, there's certainly some clean community money that could pay for
Like one of the
a
boxes.
portion of it, or so. Well, I guess they said you're not allowed to use more than 20% of your fund for equipment purchases. You know, so that would certainly cover something. You know, having a container, and Joe just talked to me about this today, so, you know, I'm gonna ponder this and things like that, but, you know, last year, the Clean Communities program, we had 2 dumpsters behind the whole old school, for virtually mid-spring right until the fall.
Right until the fall cleanup.
Cleanup.
Got them removed, and
And that people were dropping off, grass clippings was designated for one, and brush was the other. Although there at the end, there was a little abuse to the brush one, but for the most part, some people got very familiar with that being down there on the weekends and stuff. So, it kind of worked well. I don't know what the exact numbers were. I know the dumpster-wise, he was only charging us $200 and stuff like that, but Kathy, what did we end up paying, or don't you have a real number on that?
For the year?
Yeah.
I think it was 2 something a month, 227.
Well, I know it was $200 to haul, and then plus whatever River Edge, and we were hauling them about once a month. But I think we only did like 4 hauls, though,
Okay.
you know, so, but,
I think there was 2 dumpsters there. I believe altogether, I think it ended up being 6 or 7 dumpsters.
right.
One went back.
Grass clippings and brush.
Yeah.
I-
One was yard debris, and then we separated the grasses.
Right, right.
And they bought the grass.
And eventually-
Paper bags and stuff.
And this is Bob's mind's work, the Environmental Commission and stuff like that, Joe. We've been talking about it and stuff of that nature, because there's really no place to put it. Hopefully, one day, we'll have access to the lower part of Thomas Stewart Park to create a green cycling area to begin with, where we won't even be in a situation using dumpsters and stuff.
Have a yard.
Well, to me personally, I was hoping that when the firehouse went in, we were going to build an extension road to the tree line there and have our, you know, because Pohat's got it, Lopat's got it, Alpha's got it. I don't quite know what P-Burg does, but we should have a place monitored too, that residents can bring brush and grass to without. But last year, it kind of worked. I don't know where the budget's at, how much money is left in that one, but we're getting $14,000 a year on that one anyway, in a grant, Clean Communities. And Bob's actually been working each year to improve that. He's doing actually a lot of work with the Home Depot and everybody about cardboard numbers and recycling and things of that nature.
Recycling this year is 7,000,
7,000, right? And that's way up from the last few years too, right?
up from last year.
Yeah. So Bob's, you know, really got these people working on it and stuff like that. He's putting in a lot of hours. So he's making that number. So he's really generating, his efforts are generating almost $20,000. So there's some money there to at least match this, but this one dumpster, and our ability to take it alone would help considerably.
This is what you're looking for?
Yeah, well, yeah, they should be replaced this year. That should have been last year. He's asked for the backhoe for the past 3 years.
What's that?
He's asking what was needed to replace this, and you've been asking for
So
the
the highlight
backhoe for the
one
last
is-
3 years.
But that's the key piece you're looking for right now is the backhoe, right, Joe?
Yeah, that's on the top of the list.
Yeah, that's the top
Where's
piece.
that?
Up here.
Oh, here it is, okay.
Okay. Is that Brian, does that do the whole township? Is that what that?
No, I got some areas that I pre-salt now, like New Village Road and Fox Run, the hills,
Mhm.
the hills in and out of Stone Crossing and Kennedy Mill Development. That's like a skating rink coming down, you know, when it first starts snowing, if we're home. We try to pre-salt,
Right.
a lot of times the salt's all blown off and stuff when we do it like the night before, the day before.
Yeah.
And the brine, The setup is it's $4,800. It'll do 6 lane miles, and I have some pinpointed spots like there, Washington Street, and then maybe our high traffic areas like Dumont Road, Strikers Road, and stuff like that I would utilize that for. I've already made contact. We can, instead of having a brine tank and stuff on site, we can purchase it from the state DOT right over in Bloomsbury. They would set us up with an account and charge us. And Mansfield Township also does it. And when I talked to them, when I started investigating it, at that there, they said it was about $1.06 a gallon. And they were using, I think, a magnesium salt. State just uses rock salt, brine, that they do on the highway, so it may be a little bit cheaper.
Right, so the brine would actually end up reducing, although minimally, some of the salt consumption.
My rock salt
Right.
stuff right there,
Yep.
and just include that in, because the other thing is to see how far the 6 mile lane would go and stuff. Maybe each time I brine, I only need, that's a 360 gallon tank. I don't want to leave a lot sitting in there. I might only need 250 gallon to do what I need to do for that.
The lawnmowers.
The lawnmowers, I guess that's going to come down to what the status is with Thomas Stewart Park, if the DPW is handling that or not, once we see what the lawn mowing bid and prices come in at. But that lawnmower there is exactly the same as the one I got, but it just don't have the snow conversion kit to it, because the snow conversion kit would be interchangeable. So if the other motor I got comes down, and that will make parts and maintenance the same. We would maintain the same batch of parts for that stuff. Because last year, Thomas Stewart Park's mowing and stuff, we weren't doing, it was still under construction, and we weren't doing a lot around the construction site, only once in a while knocking the weeds down. I see it being a little more intense with mowing and a lot more trimming, weed whacking, and stuff like that, since we've got a finished product out there now. You know, there were some areas where the water wasn't running, drainage had to be done. That all I did was have one of the guys take the boom mower out there around the concession stand once a month and just knock down the weeds. Where now we'll be mowing, have to trim, dress that up and stuff. And the guy was at 16 hours on one mower, just doing that without trimming, raking in the mulch in the park, checking the garbages, doing a park inspection, and other things like that.
With these can you is it possible to dedicate any of these mowers to just Thomas Stewart Park or other parks? So I'm wondering if we can use the open space fund.
Right now, that is, besides using this mower to do foreclosed properties and do one of them could be dedicated to
All right. So we'd have to look into that, right?
And I know Brad and I had discussed, and Joe and I have discussed it too, because Brad was hoping that if we were going to cut it, that we would not downgrade the mower, but buy a commercial mower that costs less, because there's some 60 or 72-inch mowers that are $12,000, $13,000, $14,000 out there. But after Joe and I chatted about it, the extra $6,000 to have a matching unit in case there was a problem is probably not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
So this lawnmower for $20,000, you're saying you could dedicate that to the parks?
What's that?
You could dedicate that, this lawnmower that you're saying is
Yeah.
$20,000, you could dedicate that, okay.
That's what we'd both be going.
Cedar aerator, same thing?
There's
Depending on how much
aerators more out there for the playing surfaces and stuff like that.
Well, and there's lots of areas that are going to need to be seeded this year. And the other, and I don't want to make this like a sticker or anything else like that, but last year I had to leave when we were talking about this, and this is the piece of equipment that got cut. Had we purchased that last year, we'd have had the $30,000 extra for the pavilion, because we would have ended up doing our own seating. So I think we need it now. There's seating to be done up there that isn't done, and in the long term for the health of the parks, I think it's an essential piece.
I also looked into fertilized, and it's nothing more than I found. We can go right on the website, take their class.
Oh, well, I told you about that. ProFactRuckers.education.
Take
Yep.
the class,
Yep.
take the test, it qualifies us to spread fertilizer.
Spread fertilizer. Yep. Yep.
So that would be another one that we'll be able to take care of.
Yep.
And I'm gonna look to...
Yeah, I meant to get past you to that
I'm
website.
looking at utilizing Harker's license or something. They brought up in the last open space meeting that they could do fertilizing. And
Yes, I've seen
you
that.
saw that, right?
Yeah.
Oh, have their staff come up and do it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, again, you need 2 hours to read it. It takes 40 minutes to do the test.
Yeah.
And you got one person
Yeah.
certified, and we can do it.
Yeah.
It costs $75.
Yeah.
So, not a big investment, but to be able to do it ourselves would be.
The salt spreader,
Salt
the
spreader.
spreader machine.
If-
How you
I
doing
have a
that
salt
now?
spreader right now.
Oh, okay.
If other say I ended up having to take care of the walking path, then I probably need an additional salt spreader to take care of that. That shoots you down
Okay.
the road. The last piece, the small whacker rammer, I probably should have had one the last 3 years. That compacts the dirt and stuff under these pipe jobs. Right now I'm using the backhoe bucket or
I was really surprised when Joe told me he didn't have one.
Vibrate plate, which ain't designed for
Road base and pipe install, a rammer's essential.
You can use that all the time, right?
All the time.
Oh, yeah.
All the time. It's an essential piece. We should have had it.
Okay. And the salary, you're just looking for 3% increase for the employees is what you're recommending or
And
whatever?
about the only other one that I need to point out there, and that's if the township, every year I've given a part-time employee salary adjustment for years of service, and one of the guys in June will come to starting his 4th year, which I figured his salary out, if like I said, if the township wants to follow it, at $15.50 an hour.
And,
And the only other thing that I probably should keep our eye on is what the minimum wage ends up going to. I don't think it's supposed to jump up here, or jump up but not past what we're paying these guys right now, but the
I
next
think it's
couple
gone
of
up to
years.
11.
The 2025,
yeah, 2024.
4 or 5 before it's 15 bucks.
Yeah.
But, no, but yeah.
Where we start.
Yeah. Okay.
And I even think as of last year, I put 200 hours down there, but I believe last year you cut everything overtime-wise and stuff, and for the part-timers down to 150 or something like that. And that's what we appropriated in salaries, in last year. I think that was right, Kathleen? I think we dropped the 200 hours to 150 hours.
And we stayed within that?
What's that?
And you stayed within that?
We've stayed within that 150 hours, last year. Like I said, I don't foresee it being a big issue. Unless we get a couple of blizzards here, but I don't know that.
Okay.
About the only other one I gotta make copies of, I have just small buildings and grounds here, another part that I'm in charge of. I'll make a couple copies of it. There's a couple of improvements here. I'd like to finish up the concrete in front of the DPW garage doors. I have that all here. Let me just see
Joe, I know we talked last year about trying to figure out what was spent on parks and recreation versus DPW. Do you have that
I
number?
have some numbers, yes.
Okay.
Joe, would you be able to put together an estimate on sprucing up that basketball court back there?
Spruce, I did talk to the guys about sprucing that up, and their recommendation was tearing it out and redoing it. It's that bad of shit. Take it out, paper.
I have a question about that then. We're going to tear it out and redo it. Is that over top of our septic system?
No, septic system, police cars are parked up.
Oh, okay. So we still gotta rip.
That's where the police car, if everybody remembers what I do as a kid, there was only an asphalt lane there where the police car could park in
Yeah.
grass.
Yep, I do
And
remember.
that there is the septic tank over there, and the septic field runs down where the salt shed and the fuel pump stuff is, was all just grass. when
Right.
They built this building.
Okay. I was always wondering where it was, if it was out back, because the thing is, we're gonna rip up the basketball court and put a new one down. I don't wanna be covering the septic with, because we know we're gonna have to address the septic in the next couple of years.
On that note,
Talking too much crap for you, John. Thank you, sir.
Thank
you're in
you.
good hands with Kathleen. Any questions come up, let us know. Once you get the numbers to where you want them to be, start talking about a date and introduce you.
We're never gonna get the numbers where we want us to be, so we're just giving you the numbers when we get them.
I have faith. Have a good night.
You too, John, thanks.
Might have a couple, should be 2 pages there, I'm sorry. So, you got 3 there, Frank? Or is it just 2?
I guess so.
Okay.
Thanks.
Joe, the bay door openings, are you going to attempt that concrete work yourself?
Yes, we are. That cost is just the materials, the cement and the wire and stuff, yes. And we have, one of the local contractors, said he'd help us out a little bit, Rocky.
Okay, yeah, 'cause,
Give me some pointers.
well, yeah, I was gonna say, that's not those aprons aren't a cakewalk.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
we're gonna do it. Jeff has done cement before too. He's poured pads and stuff. That's what we've done most of our stuff there, so.
Is the ladies' room becoming an office?
No, I just gotta do something there with that, where that one toilet and stuff was. I wanna get that taken care of. That's on site again, so we don't have an issue.
How do you see it?
Have somebody trip over it or something.
What's the life of the septic has to be done right now? I'm assuming.
Well, the septic is, we still have it pumped quarterly. The one thing that's helped is we've taken the port usage off of this building, but we're still getting it pumped quarterly. And I think the contract is up at the end of this year yet. I think it was pumped in January. I got a text message that it was pumped. I think Warren Septic still has it for this year. There was the deal was through this year. Maybe I'd better probably check.
Is that something we have to look into then, a new contract?
Maybe, yeah. Joe, he'll tell us if we need to look at it,
What's that?
if the contract's up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll have to find
Find
see
out.
where we're at with that. And then just maintenance items, the park playground mulch, I didn't get to it last year, but that certified playground mulch runs anywhere between $35 and $40 a yard. I have to get a measurement together for the Open Space Committee because of settling in the Thomas Stewart Park too, and I'll have an estimate for you how many yards we need to replace in there to bring it up.
And the balance is for this park behind us?
No, this 100 yards is what I use out in this park.
Yeah, this park.
Yes.
Yes, right.
That's correct. And the bridge rails and stuff, that was a project, if we need to push it, we just use the ramps. About the only other thing that I do have in there is, I know the municipal building roof on the big improvements, I got $65,000. We just sat down and rough calculated it, and just putting the metal roof on there was around 45 or 46, but it didn't say nothing about removing the old, so we just did an estimate of what we thought it would be. So I'm thinking with this metal roof, we're at this, in the 60s at least.
That's the original roof though, right?
What's that?
That's the original roof, right?
Yes, it is.
So what, that's
1977.
45, 40, yeah?
77 building. And it's been painted once, and then 5-6 years ago, I had the paint sealant they put on it, which is getting close. I was up there last fall, and stuff will get a little, whatever way we go. If not anything, we should redo, reseal it,
Back.
replace it, do solar.
If you were to replace it, though, would you reinforce it so that we could do solar? If we wanted to?
I don't think so, because this building is compartmented off to the roof. Behind you is a cinder block wall to the roof. And then this division between the firehouse is cinder block to the roof. So there's I believe in that it's all metal. The roof is fastened to metal stringers 4 foot apart from front to back, all the way through. And they're all exposed in the garages and look fine. I do know in the DPW we have some water leaks in the back through some screws that...
So you're saying once you replace the roof, you don't have to put support, you think it could hold solar?
Oh, yeah, I believe
Oh,
it'll
okay.
hold solar.
'Cause that was a question-
Because we got the cinder block walls, like I said, if this span to there, this will hold that, because the cinder block walls is gonna make a big...
And that's the other positive about solar, too, it protects the roof. You know, not only do you get the power, but you stop the sun from beating
And
on.
one addition to maintenance and stuff is we have a new generator out there. This April's going to be 2 years old, but emergency generator service plan and stuff, they come in. I got a quote from a local vendor, plus the Morris County Co-op that we're a member of, has a generator service program in there, but it's an oil change, and they come out and check it. I think it's one additional time. It's got a major and a minor service.
I think, wasn't that required as per the grant to have that or not?
Yeah, we gotta have
The estimate he gave us of
and
the pennies,
whenever we get our
that
grant
took
money
into
back.
account for everybody's budget? The new budgets for the employment?
No,
Oh.
I don't think so. No.
That's if we did nothing.
Wait, that's if we did nothing.
That generator guy, that's the guy you gave Gary Hill?
Well, he did
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
normal percent increase.
As a matter of fact, I talked to them
Yeah.
again, and they just said that Gary...
For salaries and things like that, right?
Hmm?
For salaries and things like
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
I believe I have everything covered.
Thanks, Joe.
Good job.
Thanks.
So Kathleen, just for clarification, the estimate he gave us,
Yeah,
that took into account, that's not taken into account, everybody?
correct.
Okay. That's if we just, normal,
Left everything just
That
like
is
last
close.
year.
so like last year.
Yep.
Just want to make sure everybody understands that.
That's crazy.
So
Oh.
we took a huge hit, which broke off with that $300,000 tax appeal.
I mean, there comes a point where you can't keep blaming it from before, but we're still bailing out.
I really don't, I understand the pace setter thing, I really don't want to see you go into any more debt. You don't absolutely have to
Mhm.
for a project.
How would we go about all this capital that Joe's looking at?
Well,
Fine.
you have $250,000 in there now, and if it's not dedicated to a road project, you can dedicate it elsewhere. Plus what we listed that we had remaining.
Well, keep in mind, too, that we are probably going to have to demo that house this year. I don't think that that's going to go
Up that.
too much longer. If we're really going to entertain purchasing the Legion, that needs to come up in conversation here. Right there, there's 150,000, I'm just guessing, but
For
The demo's gonna be right about 40,000, and I'm not quite sure what the Legion number was.
And then, you buy it, and you're gonna utilize that, and here, you're talking about improvements here and there, so.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, we could at least purchase it for the time being and, and just kind of keep it winterized until the budget allows us to start to renovate it, but,
I mean, it comes to a point in time where, I mean, it's tough, but something's gotta be done. I mean, we're just bursting here at the seams.
No,
The
yeah.
buildings definitely are just too small.
I'd like to see PD get out of the basement.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get
Me
up on the
too.
hill. We're working on it.
So we gotta let you know,
Even if you get up on a hill, it's still gonna cost a couple $100,000 to rector this building.
Absolutely.
It's not like a 42,000 where you guys could do on a Friday afternoon, you have nothing to do. And it's gonna be a significant
Yes.
bill here.
so we would have to let you know what capital that we're okay with, and then you come up with some kind of funding
And we
mechanism.
really should determine if we're truly not doing any road project this year.
Yeah. So, maybe one that we gotta just, one of these, we gotta have, Finelli in here and just sit and Joe back to talk about the roads. And the roads is a long-term problem too, as we've just talked about. I mean,
Well, and I mean, not even talking pay setters, which we kind of know was on the table. There are a handful of other roads around here that are in rough shape.
well,
Rough
we
shape.
talked about it last year,
Yeah,
just to keep up.
well, right.
The amount of mileage we have, and we, on a 20-year plan, we're talking $500,000 a year just.
440 a year, just to keep up.
Just to keep up.
Just to keep up. And we've only been doing 250, and that's only been for the last 4 years. So, it's behind. It's behind. I mean, fortunately, I don't think they're god-awful, but it doesn't take,
Sooner or later.
it doesn't take one wet winter and a freeze and thaw cycle to heave roads big time. We're kind of okay. I mean, I drive over some roads in Hunterdon County, and they're in pretty bad shape. We're near that bad
With
yet.
our new overlays there, I've noticed that we're starting to get the tracks back, and that's first thing when I crack seal this
Right.
summer. We've got to check all the new road overlays. We keep that water from getting underneath there. They don't explode and
Right.
that big gaping Grand Canyons in them. It keeps that water out of there. That's what
And like you said too, and we don't, down in Bob's neighborhood, Roberts Place and Kennedy Mill Road, I mean, that's not only repaving, that's curbs
Oh, yeah.
and everything else like that. I mean, that's a
Center of the
massive
road- The
project.
center of the road's about 6 inches higher than the curb.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Don't
a
forget, you
full
have
tear.
248 sitting that we can cancel,
Right,
bring that in as a revenue to offset. But the thing is, it's already March. By the time Finelli gets going, you really, if we're gonna make all these road improvements, he's gotta go out, check the roads, analyze it, do whatever he does. You gotta get moving on it
right,
to
well,
make that money there and effective.
right, but we've seen $240,000 doesn't go very far. It's just, I mean, you're lucky if you get one road done for
Is
that.
this the second year of the Washington Street grant? Don't you have?
Yeah.
We were awarded it last year, yes.
Yes.
Can you ask for an extension?
Mike thought we could, but there's still a shot that it gets done this
I
year.
think Mike's pretty confident that
Yeah.
it's done when we're using
Yeah,
it, so.
yeah.
Okay. Only gets better. Anybody have anything else for Joe? Thanks, Joe. You can hang or you can go.
Okay.
Thanks,
Rich?
Joe.
Kind of the nuts and bolts of it.
You're talking about you're asking
The
what
DPW
percentage of the
buildings and grounds?
DPW?
Oh,
Yeah. You have that one, Kathleen? You know?
percentage-wise, no.
Well, if you wait another hour after he's done, you're gonna have about 95% of the budget.
Two biggest budgets, two biggest portions of the budget.
And I guess if the road has to be repaired, it has to be repaired.
Yeah, well, we talk about it every year.
There's only so many
The
Band-Aids.
amount of mileage we have
if we did a 20-year plan, you just did 1/20th every year, it would be $500,000 a year just to do that. Which, a penny only raises 50, not 60,000 for simplicity's sake. So you're talking
I heard
6 cents, 10 cents just to do roads, it's...
And I'm not gonna throw anybody under the bus, but the township has been frugal for a lot of years. And somewhere along the line, somebody's gotta pick up that tab. And we're pretty darn near close to picking up that tab.
Okay, Rich.
Okay, I don't have much, I didn't go into the whole salary, and that kind of is what it is, because the guys are under, contract, talks right now. But, what I can say about that is the overtime, as Brad mentioned last week, was greatly reduced. And I'm putting, I don't have the exact expenditure figure from before that, but I think it was like around 114 that I expended in overtime last year. I'm putting it at 125 this coming year just because of salary increases, and I am asking for the additional the promotion of to a sergeant, so that would move it up a little bit.
Rich, what's the pound REF?
I didn't have the expenditure for 18, so I couldn't compare my 18 to my 19 request.
Calculation.
Yeah, it would have showed, because I don't have
Okay.
two figures in there to, add or subtract. Going on that with the 2 additional sergeants, nothing more than what I had presented in 2017. I just provided you that again with, because I'm basically going off the same figures, because we're still under their 18 contract. So it's a difference of about $2 from a top step patrolman to a sergeant. So it's not, again, not a big difference, and you're getting a supervisor. And that increase was about $10,977 for just salary-wise. And you have the explanation of how many hours are, need supervision, or like have supervision for, taking into account my days off when I'm not there, and my other supervisors, their personal days or vacation days, their sick days, not including their sick days and their bereavement days, because, ideally, those would be, they could get 12 sick days a year, and they get to carry over their sick days until they accumulate up to 100 sick days, and then you have the sick time buyback, which still trying to finalize all the figures for the attendance forms, but I believe only one officer is eligible for a sick time buyback, and as per their contract, they get half the day pay for that, I think, but he only has a few sick days, so it's not really a figure. Last year, we didn't buy back any vacation time or sick time. Well, that's about it for the salaries. Other than, again, addressing the increase in hours for the secretary. I think some of you know the amount of Oprah requests that we've gotten as of late have occupied almost her entire day.
Do we have a number on that? All these Oprah requests?
It's in the monthly reports I do for you. As far as the police department.
Yeah, but I'm wondering if, I'd love to see it, how much the town is spending to satisfy all these Oprah requests.
I have to get everybody's time that they're spending on them.
Are you referring to
Are you
all the
curious to know that?
attorneys as well?
Yeah.
Yeah, everything we spend,
Spend a
I
lot,
don't think people realize.
a lot.
You know, people come in and they ask for open public records requests. They want information from us. We have to oblige them, and
It's not that you're trying to hide
And there were
it, but-
certain-
but because they don't have to pay a lot, they just rattle off, I guess it's gonna be for 4 years. They're looking for 1 month, and they're saying, give me 4 years worth.
You know, we had some folks that were looking to stop the park and wanted every piece of paperwork ever said on it for the last 10 years. You know, and you just spent a phenomenal amount of time, you know, trying to track that down and stuff like that. It's crazy.
can we get that? I'd love to see that number, what we're spending on Oprah.
Give me a, since when, like, give me a.
Last year, last year,
I think it just
So-
ramped up this year, right? So probably this year would be a better. 18 in my office. 18, okay,
Yeah.
all right, terrible. We'll go over 19 for TV.
You have to,
are we allowed to see the names of the requesters? Well,
Sometimes they're anonymous.
Are they anonymous?
They sure are, and you have to answer
No.
them. We do in our township.
You could-
You provide paperwork to them, but how do you provide paperwork to them?
They request it by email, and we absolutely, by law, have to give it to
Oh,
them.
you're talking, okay.
but you can Oprah's request, so you can get the names. Like, somebody can come in and Oprah and say, I'd like to know the
Right.
name of everybody who
Yeah.
Oprah's last year, so.
I'll stay to sign the form.
Right. But you can do it anonymous. As long as you have an email address to
Yeah,
send it
but,
to.
well, a valid email, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I'm just saying, because I have to supply them for the police department where I work.
I'm sure you're.
And I give 'em.
As well. Okay.
Big time.
So, just build off that, all that overtime, then now, we've got, Discovery, last month. So last month we had 2 DUIs. DUIs, Discovery for DUIs, there's a lot of paperwork, and it's very time consuming. So when she's taking her time away from that, taking her time from record keeping, it's just, there's not enough hours in her part-time there to get that all done. Moving along from salaries, operating expenses. Basically, I just provided you with some paperwork of some of our large items. I mean, I'm going to say off the bat, I was asking for an additional $2,630 to put into the operating expenses, and that is for purchase of another car, whether we're assuming we want to go double lease, if we want to go double lease, kind of how many year lease we want to do, whether we want the truck that we are hopefully getting into, we are doing a 3-year lease on. We want to keep up the 3-year lease, or we do a 5-year lease, or 4-year lease.
Why is it jumping? Because I thought we were putting 15 every year.
You are, but I
So that's the total increase over last year.
Yeah.
That's including everything.
The other vehicle.
Yes.
That'd be 16.
But what would we be paying in 19? Another one,
So you'd be paying the 15 for the one we just bought?
which is encumbered.
Yeah.
That's
So I don't have to...
correct.
Oh, okay. Well, then
Yeah.
subtract 15,000
Okay,
from that.
I just wanted to double check.
All right, then there is no increase, actually, it's a decrease. So the paperwork that I've given you, so the large, I'm going to go off right off the bat. The largest item was the fingerprint scanner that, I don't know if you remember, back in 2017, I took out for a budget item, and then when we were drilling down our budget items, I took that out. I said, we'll try to get as many years out of it as we can. It's come to the point of the maintenance agreement with the company that does our fingerprint scanner. We have to use one company. We're not allowed to go out and put anybody else. It's a state mandated system we have to use. They are no longer supporting the system we have with a maintenance agreement. So if we want to keep the system, we're going to have to pay them an hourly rate. And it's something ridiculous, like $300 an hour if there's a problem with the system. And we constantly have problems with the system because it's been there since 2005, I think we got it.
So that system, and it's very unfortunate, but the company that has a contract with the fingerprint system, you have to use them, you can't go use anybody else. And the system is outrageously expensive. The system itself is $22,532. The maintenance agreement is $2,630. And that's just a system. The printer, which is not included in the system, is an additional $1,421, and then the maintenance on that is $175. The systems give you 1 year warranty, and then the maintenance is that you be paid for there is an additional 2 years. So that is a total of $26,758. That in this year, that system is.
We're budgeting the rest of salary this year, for next year?
That is the only item that I'm looking to put into a capital, because it's a large amount, and
The overtime's under it.
yeah, well past its shelf life. The other items that as I said, now it's at that 15,000 that's taken out there, it would be under, but some of the line items that would go up would be the records management system, which unfortunately last year ended up probably didn't give me a bill for 2 years, so we had to do 2 years last year. So now I'm getting the bill from them, which I hadn't received before I wasn't budgeted, because I didn't have, we just used that system when I came back. But that's $5,080 for that system. The other issue is, I don't know, should I be addressing it or should council addressing the computers as far as everything in Trump's office? He said he's provided you guys some of the upgrade information. I just spoke to him today. He said that the police computers, they are at least 4 years old, going on 5 years old. He said that they've gone, that's about what you get out of it. If he puts a new computer in, he pretty much says they're about 5 years. So we can either upgrade the system, because the operating system is Windows 7, and the security updates are not going to be supported anymore. So we would have to upgrade to Windows 10. If we want to do that, it is $199 per computer, and then it's about 2 hours for him to do each computer. We could do that, roll the dice, see if we can get however long we can get out of the computer.
How old are the computers?
They're going into their 5th year now.
I got people, at work, we got guys who got computers that are 10 years old, and we work in IT. That doesn't sound too old, that's,
Really?
yeah. My computer's got to be at least 4 or 5 years old.
I haven't, like I say, I haven't had any problems with computers, but this is...
Yeah, I would say go with the upgrade for now.
The 2 hours you would take for each computer, and, we could go with that. And then I provide you the explain that you upgrade. If you have a computer, if you want to replace a couple, or you want to just put out
Under salaries.
Okay.
So, I believe that's it. I don't have much more. Everything else is pretty much the same as we have. The budget.
Chief, your secretaries, is that lumped into salaries right here?
No.
Because I don't see her listed individually.
No, because you know what, I did not, like I said, I didn't really address the whole salary.
All right, well, what are you trying to move her from to like 27 to 30 hours, or what are you trying to do?
You know what, I'd probably just provide you all the paperwork that I provided the last time when I asked for the increase, which was, I believe, going from 25 to 30 hours, just another 5 hours.
32, right, to be part-time?
I don't know if you remember, we had the whole discussion of what was
Yeah, no, we did, right.
Attorney, typewriter difference, and then attorney
Labor did, right.
So,
And is that Danielle Kelly?
Yes.
And she expressed an interest of going to 32, and she would like to then be in the pension, to be eligible for our pension, for the pension to be
I don't think
paid.
we should be talking specific names out here
Oh,
without
sorry.
rights notice and doing that in executive, so.
I'm sorry, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that we,
Well, you're gonna put together a cost package, right? Just like you were gonna do a package on it, right?
yeah, I provided to you in the past, I'll just
Yeah.
send that out to everyone tomorrow, and then you can read through all the numbers that I had there, and,
Okay.
the only thing is I don't address pension and all that because I have no idea, I don't know what that costs, I don't know. I would ask Kathleen about that, because
Well, maybe what we should do is you should put your package together. And then maybe Lisa and Kathleen can figure out everything for everybody up here. And maybe one night we should discuss all the staffing that's not in contracts and not in DPW.
So it wouldn't only be
That makes
pension,
sense.
though, it would be medical
Well,
and all that, right?
What are you asking me to do?
Well, I guess we want to figure out, come up with some proposals or plans on what we need for hours, what we can afford for hours. And, I'm pretty sure everybody up here agrees we don't want to go to a point where we have to offer medical, because that'd just kill us. So, but I think we have to come up with,
I'll confirm that, provided we file the resolution with DCA, we can set that at 35
okay.
before
So
the
I think what we gotta do is come up with a plan for the clerk, for the hours that the building will be open, what we need to do, how many you think we need, and just come up with some figures that way. 'Cause I think we were under the impression we could only do 27 hours last year, right? And in some ways, we feel that's not enough hours even up here, right? The 20. So let's just put it together on what we need, and we'll figure out what we can afford and come up with an answer. Okay?
And that all needs to be done by our next budget meeting next Tuesday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, basically, Rich, for you, the only big purchase we're looking at that we weren't anticipating, we knew in cars, because we pretty much came with a plan, we're doing a car every year, is this fingerprint.
yes, the 26,000.
No companies do like a lease purchase with that?
It's ridiculous that you can't do them. You're stuck with one company, and they can do whatever they want.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice
I
if
just-
they did like a lease purchase, at least you could spread it over 3 years or something, and what do they figure the lifespan on those scanners are? How old, the one we have now is how many years old?
It works, the scanner's fine, it's a computer, the computer's a Windows XP.
I don't know.
What stopped, the operating system was stopped being supported, quite a long time ago, 6 years ago or so. And back then, I just wanted to upgrade the operating system, not the computer, and they wouldn't let me do that. And
Well, how long do we figure this will last, this 26,000? It's probably quite a few years. It's going to be quite a few
Yeah,
years.
it should have it should have Windows 10, so it should last,
So my point being is, why couldn't they do like a lease purchase over 3 years or 5 years and still have,
yeah,
and 1 year you're only getting 10, you do what you want.
and I had spoken to some of the other PDs because they're going through the same problem.
Mm-hmm.
And, it'd be great if we could get one system or 2 systems in the south and share the cost with other towns. But the only problem with that is then we got to bring everybody to arrest to their police department. And it's, nightmare. If we had some kind of central booking, that would be great, which the Chiefs Association had discussed, which I did bring forth, but we did not get that. And we don't have a facility in the house that's central booking. We're trying to use the jail, but there's not enough room there. So we're a little bit stuck on that issue.
Okay.
And I guess, this is along the lines with the chief and everything, there will be an increase from Palacon
Thanks,
Township
Erwin. Have a
for the
good night.
courts.
You don't need sleeping pills tonight, do you?
There will be an increase from the courts, primarily because they're adding at least one court date, 4 at night, so that's going to need to be covered.
So meaning the revenue we're anticipating will go down.
Yes. I've been trying to get them to pinpoint a date to sit down with myself and Bob since before Christmas. Because they say they've kind of got it all worked out, but at the same rate, they've also seemed to have their hands full of late over there. But they, we're a meeting away from knowing. And I don't know that there's any negotiating that's going to be done. We're adding a court to it, and so there's a cost involved. But apparently the 3 sessions is it right now, or?
Yes.
Right, it's a challenge on their system over there, that they just can't funnel that many people through.
Well,
I mean, I don't think it's a monster increase, mind you, but, and the revenue that they're collecting will certainly cover it, but,
in general, back to where we are every year. You either have to cut expenses or increase revenue.
Well,
I don't know how to increase revenue.
yeah, I don't know, yeah. I mean,
Sell pizzas.
there's no cut,
But even like the old days of the spaghetti dinners just don't even work anymore,
Right. I mean, there's chatter, a couple of things on the horizon, but the long term of it is it's an insignificant number to the township. The school obviously does well with that number and stuff like that.
Well, even in the last year, everything we went through, I always feel like people are willing to pay the tax rather than where you're going to get your revenue from.
Well, I've heard that too. No, right.
So I don't know.
I mean, I know that there's a certain percentage of the population that's out there that's certainly challenged by the tax rate. But I have a handful of people, particularly this year, say, "Oh, I'm willing to pay more."
Well, you know what? The sad state of affairs in this state is that our tax rate is probably pretty good compared to most towns.
Oh, no. We do have...
But that's a sad statement.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not a good comparison.
No.
No. There's some truth to that, but I have...
We're the cheapest, most expensive.
Yeah.
I have had quite a few people who have said that they would gladly pay more, so...
Yeah, to my surprise.
To my surprise,
Yeah,
too,
to my
right?
surprise.
But I do know that there's a segment of the population that's challenged,
Yeah.
Paul, you asked me for them numbers about
Yes.
DPW and parks. Parks and playgrounds outside of Thomas Stewart Park, take care of garbages, park inspection, cleaning places up, maintaining the baseball fields, laying out soccer fields, lacrosse fields, field hockey fields, striping them all through the last year. Last year, altogether, 542 hours, man-hours. 224 was full-time employees, 318 hours was part-time employees. That we weren't doing other work, we were maintaining parks and places.
Right.
Outside of Thomas Stewart Park, which I gave Kathleen our numbers last year because of construction. I don't know if you've seen them, that what we did at Thomas Stewart Park with that.
And even with that stuff, people don't realize how
Correct.
quick it adds up.
Well, that was my other thinking there with Thomas Stewart Park and more common. Maybe some of this work is to put on maybe another part-timer at Thomas Stewart Park. When they're done mowing, set up the soccer fields, go out and drag the baseball fields. So maybe get another 27-hour part-timer in there, have 2 of them. They get done with the park, they can come down and do this park inspection, take care of the park garbages, go set up a baseball field, because baseball coaches they give me a schedule, and I gotta look at the schedule every day, what field needs to be set up, and if it's, I gotta dedicate one of the other guys, that'll take me away from doing my aprons,
Right.
putting in pipe, paving, street signs, and that kind of stuff.
Well, and the bottom line too is that number that you gave us on hours doesn't reflect the mowing contracts either.
Correct.
You know-
That's hours outside that mowing contract.
Right, exactly.
Not included there, that's our hours.
And we do a lot with part-time employees.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
I mean, I don't know how much we can cut, like everything we're doing with part-time employees.
Correct.
Can we get, I've heard this 27 number thrown around for as long as I've been here.
That's what I was told when
Did
I
we
came
get
off
Piper
in
to say
2002.
why that is?
Actually, it was Mike Lavery who was really strong on the 27.
Really?
Jim was a little bit higher.
Oh, I
No,
thought,
that was flip-flop.
yeah, I thought it was
Jim
Piper
was
that.
low, Lavery was higher.
Oh, I thought it was the other way, okay.
But we have a question
No, I'm
into it
sorry,
again,
you're
right?
Really?
Yeah, he's right.
Yeah, no, I thought it was Mike
We,
that was a little tough on the 27.
oh,
I wonder
was?
what that number means.
Don't know.
Well, you know what it is? It's probably two different laws that they're going by, and one of them probably was the health care law. And then we have the pension law.
The DCA law, yeah.
And so,
I mean, pension is definitely 32 hours.
yeah.
And we're allowed to set by resolution what we consider full-time and
Yeah,
benefits eligible.
but I think Mike was relying more on the Affordable Health Care Act law, so when that kicks in.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah, and that could be it, right, I don't know, right?
I can only tell you that the minimum that you're allowed to set and allow medical benefits is 25 hours.
Hmm.
That's the minimum. I know it costs money, so should we get something in writing from Lavery about it?
I can talk to him about it. We have the question into Pfeiffer, right?
Well, yeah, I was gonna say an email is only $37.50 versus something in writing. Yeah, well, I just open it, but...
So do you want me to make any changes at this point, or we need to digest?
Yeah, I think we need to
Yeah,
digest, and, we have an idea what he's looking for, what he's looking for.
And then we gotta look at the overall,
Next meeting, you have to come in for the fire department next meeting, or what?
Yeah, I'd like to, me and the president like to come in, because, like I said, I'm hoping to move dirt this year,
Okay.
firehouse. We did get a letter from the USDA, and we're gonna need some financial support. And it ain't gonna be this year, but when our mortgage kicks in, I'm hoping we got the ladder truck paid off, which is a payment that's on a line item, and maybe that could roll towards the fire department.
When's our,
And the only thing is I can finance for the whole nut. The variables are, I've had a lot of people come up and offer work at their cost, donations, but I can't account
I
for
believe
that
so, yeah.
overall price yet until it's seen when it comes to it. We can afford half the mortgage at 60,
Sorry, Joe.
but there's another $60,000 need, $120,000 a year.
I was going to say Brad's son is in recovery right now.
Nice,
he's gonna answer it, like that.
nice.
Okay, so Tuesday night, you're gonna come for the fire department. Can you guys get your stuff done by Tuesday night for admin and stuff? You're here for your secretary. What else do we have to do, go over? Tuesday, if we do that Tuesday night, then the next meeting, we can pretty much yay and nay, start crossing stuff off and,
Should I prep something for Thomas Stewart Park for the mowing and stuff
When are those
that you
bids
should
due?
look at? Or
you might as well.
We,
So so the third meeting is when we're gonna have to sit down at the budget.
The inspection's on the 14th.
Something together.
They'll-
Anyway, we'll
We
want
should
to
have
do
them
election
before the
until-
March committee meeting, but we won't have much before that.
Does the rescue squad need to come, or they,
Oh.
if they won't come? Then,
I mean, there's some chatter. I mean, we talked about the last 2 years about whether we were going to bond an ambulance, and I put it off, but if we're not going to bond anything this year, then we can probably hold off.
are you gonna have anything from historical, and what they're looking for, what we need to do by Tuesday night? Can you have that?
I can.
Okay. So by Tuesday night, we should be able to go through the rest of those departments. Then the last meeting is when we're gonna have to go, we're gonna have to cut stuff for, we're gonna have to cut stuff.
Yeah.
So, that sound good to everybody?
All right?
Surgery went as expected, and we will know more over the next.
Public meeting.
Right.
Okay, let's do, motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Anybody second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.